TheRoxburghe was the venue for the fourth event on this year's Optical Express Pro Golf Tour. A fabulous inland layout, a course which has previously hosted the Scottish Seniors, and where a certain Sergio Garcia holds a course record. And another man who's been used to playing at the very highest level this season, Greg Hutchin, is also a fan.
It's lovely. I mean, it's mature. A lot of big signature trees. It's rolling, undulating, it turns, and it's a wonderful golf course.
A previous winner on the Challenge Tour, Greg had been plying his trade mainly on the Tartan Tour over the last couple of years, but with impressive showings this year at a couple of the bigger events on the European Tour, would he be thinking about taking on the main tour again?
You know, if I can make the cut at tournaments, you know, like Wentworth and the Scottish Open, I feel like I can play the standard of golf that's required on the tour. But it's like I've always said, the toughest thing really about being on the tour is getting tee times, you know, so I will have to look into the process of the tour school, challenge tour, you know, and playing my way on. Professional golf, the standard is very high at all levels, even at this level, which you would maybe describe as a third tier level. The standard's very high here.
Something that was confirmed when playing alongside Paul McKechnie at the last Optical Express event, where he shot a magnificent course record at Westerwood.
It was a fantastic score Paul McKechnie had. It was very, very good. And we talked about it actually, even on the way round. I don't know if we didn't actually realise that the eagle at the last was for the course record. So we were joking going from the 17th tee to the 18th, myself and our other playing partner. We were saying to Paul, "I just eagle the last, you know, and you'll be fine. It'll sort of, that's the way you need to finish this round. You know, you've played great all the way in. You'd just be as well eagling the last as well." And he hit a lovely drive and a great mid to long iron in second shot, and then rolled the putt in from 15 feet. So it was fantastic.
And back to the action at TheRoxburghe. Well, Greg had a level par 72 on day one, but he was talking about rolling in putts. This was his last putt on day two. That was for a 2 under 70, and he finished the tournament at 2 under, and without really threatening the lead, Greg finished in a tie for 8th. His playing partner from Westerwood though, Paul McKechnie, well, he was looking for 3 wins in a row on the Optical Express Pro Golf Tour, and he started day one with a 71 for 1 under par, and as things kicked off for his second round, well, this was his approach to the first, and his birdie putt, and he was beginning to warm up again. Could he possibly make it? 3 wins in a row. Lovely birdie 3 to start off day 2 for Paul McKechnie. And so what about the other stories from day 1? Well, this was Chris Curry. He had a very tidy round also at 1 under par for a 71. This is his approach to the 12th. And some very steady stuff. Finishing off on day 1, on the 18th, after having to play his approach from the Stone Bridge, David Orr. And just missing there for his par. Bogeyed the last, but still came in also at 1 under par, and definitely in the mix. Graham Brown from Montrose, well, this is him for his birdie 2 on 13th on day 1. A man who knows how to save his best putts for in front of the camera. And he finished the day at 2 under, just 1 off the lead. Also at 2 under after day 1, James McGee. Another man with a very tidy round of 70. And a good consistent performer on the Optical Express Pro Golf Tour. Now a man who's won on the European Tour before, Stephen McAllister. You can see him just next to that stone bridge that David Orr had to play off. And Stephen was just off the pace at 4 over as he shapes up towards life on the Seniors Tour. Now there was a little bit of sibling rivalry in the field. That was Colin Robinson tapping in for his par on 17 on day one. Colin still an amateur, but also in the field was Paul Robinson, his brother, now a professional. And well, it was Colin that had bragging rights after day one, finishing 7 shots ahead of his brother, although that was a nice birdie that Paul got on the 18th. John Gallagher, who was runner-up at Hilton Park, took time to come and play here, and amongst Euro Pro and Challenge Tour commitments, getting up and down here for a par on 17 on day one, where he was 4 over, but a 4 under 68 on day 2 meant that John finished in 10th spot at level par. There were 4 ladies in the field this time around, amongst them young Lauren Mackin, this is her on the 15th, par 3 up the hill and making light work of the tee shot. Very nicely done, although the leading lady overnight was Gemma Webster. Using this tournament as part of her build-up to playing in the Ladies Scottish Open at Archerfield in a few weeks' time, putting like this helped Gemma get round in 74 for 2 over. But the overnight leader was Neil Fenwick from Dunbar. Here the young pro on the 12th with a long birdie putt. Well, it didn't drop, but he was the only man to break 70 on day 1 with a 69 for 3 under. And Neil, who's second in the order of merit for the Tartan Tour's young professionals, well, he was the man to catch on day 2. And moving on to the play on day 2, Paul O'Hara from Colville Park, who'd won on this tour at Stranraer at the start of the season and was 3rd at the last tournament in Westerwood, well, he bogeyed the first, but then soon rallied, holding this to hold his par on a par 3 4th before going on to birdie the next 2 holes. And after a day 172 for level par, he was then at 2 under. The first hole caught a few people out on day 2, but David Orr wasn't one of them. His approach to the front of the green led up this birdie opportunity, which just came up short, but he was looking good on day 1, still sitting at 1 under. And very much in the mix. Runner-up last time out was Alan Lockhart. He couldn't quite repeat that form at this tournament, starting slowly with a 75 on day 1, but he was 1 under for his round on day 2, and finishing at 2 over, he once again finished in the money in a tie for 14th. Meanwhile, back at the first, sleeping on his overnight lead, well, Neil Fenwick, he too was just a little bit short with his approach at the first, but another great long putt, and that was an easy par 4 to start off his round. 1 shot behind as they teed off in the first was Graham Brown, who once again, as soon as he saw the camera, decided to hole a lengthy putt. A magnificent start for the man from Montrose, and he was now tied with Neil at 3 under par. Further out in the course, Paul O'Hara was beginning to put together a good score, this for a birdie 2 at the 13th, and well, he finished with a 69 for 3 under and a tie for 6th, before heading off to the EPD Tour in Germany, where he narrowly missed out on winning the next event by 1 shot. Back to the par 3 4th, and David Orr was going along nicely. This is birdie putt for a 2. As it was a par, and he stayed at 1 under. However, on the following 3 holes, David went birdie, birdie, eagle to move to 5 under, a position in which surely David was beginning to think about putting together a winning score on day 2 for a victory. Also looking for a victory though, Chris Curry. As he played his tee shot here at 13, he too was 5 under par for the tournament. And look at that, right at the flag. He failed to make his birdie putt though, and faded over the last few holes, finishing at 3 under and a tie for 6th place. Graham Brown there, well, this was his tee shot at the par 3 4th. He ended up getting a par here, but birdied 4 out the next 5 to be out in 31 and to be 7 under for the tournament. Playing alongside overnight leader Neil Fenwick, well, he pulled his tee shot a little here and ended up with a bogey, and he could only be level par for the front 9, which meant that he was sitting at 3 under. On the par 3 13th, well, 2 of the ladies in the field, they were having their own nearest to pin competition. First up, Katie McNichol making light work of the 170 yards between the tee and the flag. She was playing alongside Lauren Mackin, and we saw Lauren making light work of the par 3 15th on day 1. Well, this tee shot was even better, and good performances from the girls. Katie finishing 24th and Lauren finishing 25th, making sure they earned a little bit of money. But the leading lady, as she was overnight, was Gemma Webster, and this was her coming up the last. And the approach shot rolling very nicely onto the middle of the green. And, well, quality golfer that she is. When she reached the green, rolled in the putt for a very nice birdie 3 and a total of 71 on day 2 to finish at 1 over par for the tournament and a tie for 11th. And as the sun was getting low in the sky here at the Roxburghe, unlike some of the other events this year, there was a lot of drama still to be played out in the 18th. That was David Orr, who's currently at 7 under par, chipping on from the side, leaving an awkward par putt, which gave this putt from Paul McKechnie added significance. That for his birdie 3 would have taken him to -6. As it was, it just hung on the lip, and he tapped in to be 5 under for the tournament and finish in a tie for 3rd place alongside Graham Brown, who dropped a couple of shots in the final holes. But another good tournament for Paul and for Graham, and Paul still sitting at the top of the order of merit for this tour. But David Orr had this putt for a par on the last, and for the 2nd day running he bogeyed it, and he finished at 6 under, but that was still leading the tournament with only one group left out on the course. And as we said, Graham Brown had dropped a couple of shots to finish 1 shot behind. And coming up the 18th, Neil Fenwick, the overnight leader, well, he'd managed to pick up a couple of shots, and he was at 5 under, and this was his approach to the 18th, meaning that he had this putt for a birdie 3 to finish at 6 under par and tie for a victory in the tournament. And from 15 feet away, the putt went in right in the middle of the hole for a fantastic tied victory for Neil. And afterwards we caught up with Neil to get him to take us through his round today.
Today was a bit up and down. There's a couple over early on, but clawed back and fought back in the back nine and played pretty solid. Hold a good putt at the last, so good 15-footer.
And what about the man who tied for victory with him, David Orr?
Last couple of days it's been consistency, it's been a lot of fairways and a lot of greens. Really took advantage of the par 5s today was the key. Kind of made a couple of birdies and an eagle there. Actually played really well yesterday as well. So I felt quite good getting into today because I left quite a few out there yesterday in my 71, so I was feeling confident. The course kind of suited my eye as soon as I saw it for the first time a couple of days ago in the practice round. But today I was patient, finished with a bogey, which is always a bit disappointing, but just took 3 from the edge of the green. But all in all, no complaints, played a lot of good stuff, managed my game well, so it was really delighted.
And with Fenwick's game improving with every tournament, he's relishing the chance for as much competitive golf as possible.
This tour obviously is helping me improve a lot, playing with top players and pro-only stuff. You can only get better when you play with better players, so definitely games coming on and looking forward to a busy end of the season.
I think it's great, it gives us more kind of addition to the schedule, you know, and choosing some great venues. It's hopefully it continues to get supported going forward because it can only be good for the Scottish region, and playing with other pros as well, good players. It's kind of lets you know where your game is a lot of the time, you know, and who's playing well, and it's a good way to kind of a benchmark to see how you're playing, you know.
And what about the chance of another good payday at the end of the season by qualifying for the Tour Championships at Songual in Mallorca?
December in Spain, great thoughts. Looking forward to it actually, yeah. So fingers crossed we can do well that next one at Letham Grange. But great venue, I've heard good things about it. So nice wee bonus for the end of the season. So we'll think about that near the time. But really excited about it, thanks.
Fingers crossed, that's definitely can only help today. So hopefully a trip to the sun would be nice.